So Rami is Head of Experience Management, Technology and Analytics, and he's responsible at Numetrics for partnering large-scale transformations around CX and EX, supporting customers to build their analytics stack and embed data-driven decision-making across the organization, with over 50 transformations under his belt in the GCC and counting. And what Rami's going to be talking about is reimagining experience and creating this continuous and connected discipline that drives sustainable growth. So big round of applause for Rami, please.
Thank you so much, Rob. And so good afternoon, everyone. I know we're reaching the end of the event and we had amazing speakers so far. So I'll try to keep the energy high and I'll try to connect the dots. So today what we'll be talking about is effectively we'll be taking a step back, right? We've seen how experience has evolved, and experience is only shaping to become even more transformational. With what we're seeing with digital acceleration, new customer expectations, regulatory shifts, regional market dynamics, and most importantly, AI, this shift is converging faster and faster. And customer expectations are only becoming higher, they're becoming more dynamic, and businesses need to adapt in order to continuously deliver and exceed those expectations. So if you think about a regular customer journey, so we're all aware Saudi Arabia won the 2034 World Cup. So imagine you're based in the US, you've never visited Saudi, and the US team is going to play against probably France. And you want to take your little kid for the first time to travel all the way from the US to Riyadh. You've probably seen Riyadh on CNN, you've seen it on social media. So what do? First place I would actually go on social media, try to understand what are the airlines available, what are the hotels available, what are the restaurants available. So I start dreaming, right? I start dreaming about this experience. But then I move and I try to start booking my experience. I go into TripAdvisor, and then I go into different mobility applications, and I go into the event and the stadium applications that would come in place. But everything is somewhat disconnected, right? So I'd have to have my wife actually prepare a spreadsheet, try to understand where everything fits into place. And as Matt mentioned, right, even customs and visas is something that we also need to look at into different government portals, probably prompt ChatGPT. And this is making the experience in a way, just from its inception, quite confusing, right? So I'm going from a lot of excitement to a lot of confusion. And when confusion happens, right, we're creating friction, and my emotions start verging from a negative emotion, from a positive emotion to a negative emotion, where uncertainty comes in place, right? Going halfway through the world with my wife and my son, and then, so even though all those systems actually work and all those applications work individually quite well on an individual touch point level, but all of these are quite disjointed and are not speaking to each other. And the journey continues, right? And the fragmentation continues. So you're still in the US, you go through immigration, you go through check-in, through immigration, through the duty-free, and then the boarding. And what happens? Probably the gate has changed. You didn't notice. Last time I missed my flight, I got stuck in the airport and and actually missed my meeting. So sometimes the update is a little too late. And then you actually reach, for example, your destination. We continue the confusion. You reach for the first time different applications when it comes to mobility services, language barriers, and we all know how traffic is in Riyadh, right? So what's the best transport system for me to take? Should I take an Uber? Should I take a metro? And the journey continues. We go into the stadium, I go from the wrong gate, I get stuck in a queue, I probably need to get food for my son, I'm late, I miss a goal. But in reality, even on the departure level, the journey also continues with fragmentation. So instead of using the last touch point within the journey, which is the departure, where we can re-engage and actually build a memorable experience, they still go through the hassle of disconnecting queues, check security, and so on. So in reality, all of these touch points in reality are actually shaping our experiences. However, our expectations at each of touch points differ. So when you're talking about booking a flight, I expect it to be seamless and frictionless. But when I'm in the stadium, this is where it's an emotional experience. So we need to design for both. We can't design only on a touch point level. And at the heart of CX, right? At the heart of CX, we need to listen and we need to understand. So we've started listening a very long time ago, from the 70s with observation and suggestion boxes, to the 80s with surveys and comment cards and focus groups and interviews. And in the 2000s, we went into digitalized feedback management systems, social listening, and more comprehensive data capture. But now, we're approaching the space of predictive experience management, right? And my tourist actually expects full-scale orchestration, where I'm orchestrating a personalized journey from end to end, where everything is actually talking to each other. So we went from reactive listening up into expanding the signals that we have. But now we're going into predictive and adaptive experience management. And this is where systems are actually adapting and orchestrating your personalized experience at scale. So let's take a step back. If we were actually capturing those signals and orchestrating those signals, so we had 3 touch points. My flight was delayed, so the airline knows that my flight was delayed. And my hotel can actually predict that I will be late for check-in. And at the same time, in parallel, my event application actually noticed that I didn't select the nearest gate to actually go to my seat. Now, in an orchestrated world where everything speaks to each other, this is where the airline, even though it's delayed, it can actually offer me, for example, a voucher for me and my family to make this unfortunate event more fortunate. The hotel can actually activate a digital mobile check-in. And the stadium can come and guide me into the right gate with the least queue, and actually help me pre-order my meal. This way I don't need to miss the match that I traveled 24 hours to watch. So in such an instance, where we had 3 unfortunate events, 3 disconnected experiences, we actually turned this into an opportunity for it to become a seamless, memorable touch point where the orchestration actually enabled all these 3 organizations to talk to each other and to make my life better and my visit better. So I know this is ambitious, and that's why we're talking about the future of experience management, because with all the beautiful people in this room and the amazing organization that we've done and all the capabilities that we've actually built in customer and employee experience, we're still looking at it and managing an individual touch point in all those journey. But in reality, the journey of a citizen or a journey of a tourist is this combination of all those different touch points that are being managed by different organizations and not different departments. So how can we design for life? Accordingly, we need to establish 4 critical things, right? We talk about data infrastructure. So how are we able to connect and create the right data foundation, not by adding new systems, but actually enabling the safe sharing of this contextual data between different organizations and different systems? As we all know, Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in the broader infrastructure, and it's also investing heavily in analytics capabilities powered by AI. And this is where AI comes into place. So we bring in all this data, we connect all this data together, but we need some level of intelligence that definitely has a higher IQ than I do, because I cannot go run into billions of data points. So AI will allow you to identify those patterns and create meaning from this data and also predictions from this data to be able to act in real time. But then what do we do? How do we act? This is where the decision-making framework needs to come into place. This creates accountability, but this also creates moderation in the sense who should act, when we should act, and how we should act. And finally is culture, right? So how do we bring all those organizations to actually work together? How do we bring all those teams to actually work together? How do we look at the bigger picture, not only my organizational role, but the actual national transformation role? So if we circle back to that fragmented journey that we had, and we look at the futuristic journey that we can establish for 2034 World Cup or 2030 Expo. So we can help people, for example, dream by having a virtual reality headset where they can actually live that journey prior to actually even reaching there, understanding what flights, how their seats are, understanding what types of restaurants they would want to eat, what type of cuisine they would want to look at, all within their constraints of budgets, times, and preferences. Then all this data feeds into a seamless booking experience. Not going from dreaming, but actually leveraging, for example, a virtual concierge that would allow you to just converse with and actually book your whole trip, give your agenda. Then you move, for example, and you reach your organization. You might have one single application that allows you to just get your Wi-Fi, be able to take your best mode of transportation depending on the schedule that you have and the events that you scheduled. And then you go into the welcome center and mobility. Finally, you reach your stadium. You probably were late. We go back to the point where it routes you to the best place possible. You get into the stadium, the commentator speak in Arabic or English. You might not understand or you might not hear what he's saying. Your son is crying, you missed the goal. So you would have, for example, a virtual reality headset that's giving you live translations, live chats, replay capabilities. You're able to get access to the food or any service that you want. Then if you want to go and visit and explore the city, so just as an anecdote, every time I travel to a city, if I'm traveling alone, I end up doing the same thing. I go to Starbucks, have coffee, walk around without knowing where I'm walking, spend 8 hours walking, have a grab, bite, and come back. In reality, I haven't explored the city. But if I had something that can actually guide me through the city, curate my experience within the city, walk next to a museum or a monument and tell me the history behind this monument, I think this would have made my personal life much easier and all the visitors' lives of people that are coming in 2034 much easier. Consider the match ran, we got stuck in traffic. You don't want to miss your reservation. You're hungry. So imagine automatically basically contacting the restaurant and postponing your dinner without doing anything from your side. So this is where we see the future of experience management going. By deepening our understanding, leveraging the capabilities that we have right now in order to develop a fully orchestrated experience for at scale, not only on an individual level. And what we need to do that, we need to have the right center of excellence. This is going to create the right governance and accountability and the right guidelines for you to follow to have a consistent experience across all. It's having the right technology in order to enable this broader orchestration on a country and national level. Of course, having the right people. And finally, it's about moving from designing on a touch point or on a service, but actually designing for life and translating it into an actual implementation. And this is at the core of where we see, again, the future of experience management and unlocking the full potential of this national transformation. Thank you very much.